Lieutenant Colonel Bernard House. Colonel House is a native of Lexa, Arkansas, and graduated from the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff as a distinguished military graduate with a Bachelor of Science degree in accounting. He also holds a Master of Arts degree in Management and Leadership from Webster University. Over the course of his distinguished military career, Colonel House has served in many capacities throughout the country and the world, with assignments in both European and Pacific theaters. Colonel House has commanded soldiers at numerous levels and has been stationed and deployed overseas numerous times to Kosovo, Korea, Afghanistan, and Iraq. Colonel House wears the Combat Action Badge, the Army Staff Badge, and the Parachutist Badge. His decorations include the Bronze Star with 3 oak leaf clusters, the Defense Meritorious Service Medal, and the Meritorious Service Medal with silver leaf cluster. He is currently serving as the Field Artillery Branch Chief, Enlisted Personnel Management Directorate at Fort Knox, Kentucky. It is with great pleasure to introduce to you Lieutenant Colonel Bernard House.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Calloway, for the introduction. Thank you to Dr. Glenn Glover, Ms. Gwen Fowlin, and members of the Veterans Day Program Committee for the opportunity to speak here today. To the students who performed the dramatic reading and the national anthem, thank you for honoring this ceremony with such an outstanding performance. Thank you for all who came out today to honor our veterans and witness the opening of the Tennessee State University Veterans Student Center. Veterans Day, formerly known as Armistice Day, is a day we recognize all who have served and continue to serve our nation with honor and distinction. Armistice Day was established as a legal holiday to honor the ceasefire of World War I, which occurred on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, 1918. Today, on the anniversary of the ceasefire, the war to end all wars, we are gathered on the beautiful campus of Tennessee State University, not only to honor our veterans, but to also cut the ribbon on the Tennessee State University Veterans Student Center, a place that will assist our veterans as they transition from military service to an institution of higher learning. I think most of us have something in common. We either have served in the military, we are currently serving in the military, or we know somebody who have served or is currently serving in the military. I ask that all our veterans that can, please stand to be recognized. Those who cannot stand or already stand, please raise your hand. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a round of applause for our veterans. Thank you and your family for your service and sacrifice. For those of you who do not know somebody who has served in the military, currently serving in the military, I think you have missed out on some great war stories. Veterans tell the best war stories you ever heard. I think Vietnam veterans tell the best stories. I can sit for hours at a time and listen to stories of military action that are unique, but all have a common theme. That theme is honorable service to our nation. Vietnam veteran stories range from heroic actions in major battles such as the Battle of Adran, which is considered to be the first major engagement between the United States Army and the Vietnam People's Army. The Battle of Hamburger Hill was fought for 11 days, from May 10th through May 20th, 1969. The engagement was conducted on Hill 937, which was later renamed Hamburger Hill due to its grinding nature. Operation Rolling Thunder was a progressive and sustained aerial campaign carried out from March to November of 1968. The operation was the most intense battle conducted during the Cold War. These are just a few of the major operations, all of which, because of the determination and will of our military service member, we were victorious. Vietnam was a different kind of war. Unlike World War I and World War II, where thousands of troops and pieces of equipment defined a battle, Vietnam was defined by small skirmishes defined to trick the enemy. Military advisors had fought and died supporting the Vietnamese army for years prior to the start of major combat operations in the mid-1960s. Small 6-man well-armed reconnaissance team called Long Range Reconnaissance Patrol operated deep in enemy territories and were the eyes and ears of the units they served. These units were comprised of young men, some who volunteered, some who were drafted, but all who were dedicated to serving their nations. Soldiers like Specialist Ford Jack Moss Jr., a young man from Talladega County, Alabama, who was drafted to serve as a member of the 101st Airborne Division, 75th Infantry Long Range Reconnaissance Patrol, L Company. Specialist Ford Jack Moss began his tour in Vietnam in January 1970 and was killed by small arms fire on August 25, 1970. Specialist Ford Moss was 22 years old at the time of his death. Specialist Ford Moss and thousands of others are examples of the bravely exemplified by all men and women who served in Vietnam. The story of Specialist Ford Moss reminds me of the story of another soldier. Born in Arkansas, he was the father of a farmer. His father was a farmer and a deacon at the local church. His mother was a homemaker. His childhood was spent picking cotton and helping his father tend to the livestock. He was not from a wealthy family, but he was raised by parents who loved him. This young man worked on his parents' farm for many years, surrounded by his brothers and sisters, until he decided it was time to serve his nation. He would serve in the military for several years, to include a tour in Vietnam. Upon returning home, he hung a single award in his home. I still remember reading the citation as a young child. It stated, "This is to certify that the Secretary of the Army has awarded the Army Commendation Medal to Specialist 5, Artemus L. House, United States Army, for meritorious service in the Republic of Vietnam during the period of February 1968 to February 1969, given under my hand in the city of Washington on this 18th day of February 1969. Specialist 5, Artemus L. House, was my father, a proud Vietnam veteran who served as an artilleryman with the 3rd Battalion, 6th Field Artillery Regiment, and the 2nd Battalion, 32nd Field Artillery Regiment. Today, on my uniform, I wear the Centaur, the symbol of the 6th Field Artillery Regiment, the regiment of which my father served in Vietnam, and also which I had the honor to command in Operation Iraqi Freedom. Like many Vietnam veterans, my father's service did not stop once he took off his military uniform. He came home and went to work as a police officer and a postal worker in the civilian workforce, continuing to help to build America. He rarely spoke of his experience in Vietnam, and it was not until after his death in 2006 that I was able to read more of his military documentation. My father and many other Vietnam veterans returned home to little fanfare, ceremonies, or the respect they deserved. Vietnam was not a popular war, but the legacy of the generation that served during this era and the courage and sacrifice makes them part of the greatest generation. Our Vietnam veterans continue to serve to this day, helping with items like the post-9/11 GI Bill so that our military service members could attend college, and they participate in every welcome home ceremony across the country for soldiers returning from deployments from Iraq and Afghanistan. At this time, I would like all our Vietnam veterans to please stand, as well as any family members that are attending of the approximately 1,600 Vietnam veterans still missing in action, and the over 58,000 that paid the ultimate sacrifice in combat. If you would, please stand at this time. Thank you for your service and your sacrifice to the nation. Today, Tennessee State University, a certified vets campus, will cut the ribbon and open its Veterans Center. A significant milestone for the university and our veterans. With thousands of soldiers transitioning out of the military annually, it is great to see the dedication by the university to ensure a smooth transition for our veterans. Veterans help connect the public with the military and inspire the next generation to serve. Thank you to the faculty and committee members for thinking of our veterans. As a nation and as a military, we must remain committed to taking care of our veterans. President Ronald Reagan said in a 1983 radio address, "Veterans know better than anyone else the price of freedom, for they have suffered the scars of war. We can offer them no better tribute than to protect what they have won for us." Our nation's veterans throughout our history have kept us free and continue to serve our nations in a multitude of ways. Today, we say thank you to them all. Thank you for inviting me here today, and happy Veterans Day to all.